Welcome back, Hammers. If you love West Ham news and updates, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and tell us in the comments what you think. Let's get started. Bowen decided to open up and reveal who, in his view, has been unfairly turned into a scapegoat at West Ham United over the past few seasons. The forward, who now wears the captain's armband and is one of the most respected players in the squad, believes that a specific teammate has been receiving disproportionate criticism from both supporters and managers. For Bowen, this colleague's redemption is only just beginning. To speak of West Ham supporters is to recognize one of the most loyal and passionate fan bases in England. Generations of fans, even in the face of long periods of frustration, have never stopped turning up in large numbers at the stadium. One only has to remember that the Hammers went exactly 43 years without lifting a significant trophy until their UEFA Conference League triumph in 2023. Any other club of similar stature would likely have seen its stands empty under such a weight. But not West Ham. The emotional connection with the team is so strong that even during turbulent phases, popular support remains solid. That does not mean, however, that the fans are not demanding. Intense passion comes with high expectations. From time to time, when results do not come, some players end up becoming the target of harsher criticism, being singled out as responsible for collective failures. This phenomenon of finding scapegoats is relatively common in mass-supported clubs, and the Hammers are no exception. A recent example is midfielder Tomáš Souček. Although adored by the majority and an essential piece for the team, the Czech admitted feeling hurt by having become the target of complaints at certain times, even while being a player who consistently demonstrates commitment, grit, and quality. Not everyone can handle this kind of pressure, like Souček, who has a strong personality, confidence, and an unrelenting fighting spirit. Many players appear to have a shell of emotional resilience, but in practice feel the weight of criticism heavily. This atmosphere of constant scrutiny has intensified over the last 19 months, a period in which West Ham's collective performances have fallen short. The truth is that in this span, very few players have managed to perform at a consistently high level. Among the rare exceptions is Bowen himself, who maintained a high standard of performances and continued to be decisive. Another standout was Aaron Wan-Bissaka, voted the club's Player of the Year after a season of great defensive solidity. And of course, Souček himself, who contributed not only 9 goals, but also countless important defensive recoveries. These 3 players formed the bedrock of reliability amid a backdrop of instability. The start of the new season, however, was concerning. Under the command of Graham Potter, the Hammers suffered heavy defeats and conceded 11 goals in the first 3 games, an alarming figure for the Premier League. The atmosphere became toxic, with frustration among players, staff, and supporters. Yet a change of direction began to take shape. The arrivals of reinforcements such as Fernandez and Sungutu Magasa brought fresh energy to the squad, and the 3-0 away win over Nottingham Forest marked a turning point. That triumph was particularly symbolic. It was the heaviest home defeat suffered by Forest in 25 years, and it did not happen by chance. West Ham displayed defensive solidity, tactical discipline, and great determination. It was a performance reminiscent of the best days of the David Moyes era, when the team was recognized for its capacity to resist and fight until the end. More importantly, the goals came in the final 10 minutes of the match, demonstrating resilience and competitive stamina. After the game, it became clear to supporters and pundits alike that if West Ham are to have a stable season, they must prioritize defense. Solidity at the back is the foundation upon which victories must be built. That was the message left by the performance against Nottingham Forest. In that victory against Nottingham Forest, the standout was Lucas Paqueta, named man of the match thanks to his creativity, intensity, and vision. Close behind him, the performance of the newly arrived Mateus. Fernandez also drew attention as he quickly showcased personality and technical quality. However, another player received special mention from captain Jarrod Bowen during his commitments with the England national team, centre-back Konstantinos Mavropanos. In an interview with BBC Radio 5 Live Sport, Bowen was asked to name who, in his opinion, is the most underrated player in the current Hammers squad. His answer surprised many. I'll say Dinos Mavropanos because he's just come back into the side. This seemingly simple statement carries great weight as the forward made it clear that he believes the criticism the defender has received from supporters and even managers is unfair. Mavropanos, a Greek standing at 1.96 meters with an imposing physique, has all the attributes to become a dominant centre-back in the Premier League. Strong, quick, and comfortable carrying the ball out from defense, he could easily be a nailed-on starter, and even a fan idol. However, his time at West Ham has been marked by highs and lows. Under the management of David Moyes, Julian Lopetegui, and Graham Potter, the defender rarely cemented a starting spot, something Bowen attributes more to the player's emotional fragility than to technical shortcomings. Despite his imposing presence, Mavropanos is described as someone who needs confidence and encouragement. He is the typical player who responds well when he feels trusted, valued, and integral to the project. He himself acknowledges that amid good performances, he occasionally makes costly errors that overshadow the rest of his display. Even so, against Nottingham Forest, his performance was virtually flawless, aggressive, strong in duels, and completely dominant over striker Chris Wood, who barely touched the ball. For Bowen, that match may have marked the beginning of Mavropanos' long-awaited redemption at the club. More than just a strong showing, it was proof that the defender has the ability to take on a central role in the backline, possibly even ahead of names like Jean-Claire Todibo. The captain's confidence is a clear sign that the dressing room sees in him the potential to become a key figure, provided he gets consistency and support. Curiously, when the interview turned to the England national team, Bowen named Declan Rice as the most underrated among the call-ups. The choice of Rice, West Ham's former captain, highlighted the respect and admiration Bowen still holds for his ex-teammate. Yet it was his mention of Mavropanos that sparked the biggest reaction in London. The Greek defender's arrival at West Ham in a transfer worth £17.5 million had initially generated expectation. However, his lack of consistency left him an easy target for some supporters who did not hesitate to criticize him for every mistake. Now, with Bowen's public words of support and a top-level display against Nottingham Forest, the outlook may be shifting. If he can replicate that level in major fixtures, such as the derby against Tottenham, Mavropanos will have the chance to rebuild his relationship with the fans and turn boos into applause. Football is often made up of such redemption stories, and Bowen, by putting his captain's prestige on the line in defense of his teammate, made it clear that he firmly believes in the Greek's ability to turn the page and write a new chapter at West Ham United. For the Hammers, who seek stability after months of turbulence, the revival of a centre-back with such potential could be the difference between a mediocre campaign and a season of genuine affirmation. Before we carry on, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. This is really important because it strengthens the Claret and Blue family, making our West Ham bigger and stronger every day. In the last summer transfer window of 2025, Chelsea had to deal with a very delicate situation behind the scenes. After being fined by UEFA due to financial irregularities, the London club was forced to balance its books in the market, which in other words meant selling players so that new signings could be registered regularly in European competitions. This strategy proved successful. All the latest arrivals were able to be registered for this season's Champions League. To achieve this goal, the board carried out a true overhaul, allowing the departure of several names who were no longer part of the long-term plan. However, there were also players considered untouchable, either because of their importance in the starting 11 or their strategic role as options on the bench. Among the strongest areas of the squad, midfield stands out. Today, few clubs in Europe can display such depth of options in the position, and even so, the Blues continue to invest there. André Santos returned to the club after a brilliant loan spell at Strasbourg, where he managed to establish himself as one of the great revelations of the French league. In addition to him, young Portuguese Dario Isugo was signed permanently. Although he has not yet made his official debut, he left a great impression during preseason fixtures, showing unusual maturity for his age. Another name that generates expectations is Romeo Lavia. After a long physical recovery, the hope is that by staying fit, he can play almost as if he were a new signing offering fresh options to the coaching staff. However, it was André Santos who attracted the most interest in the market. The European press highlighted a hefty proposal valued at around £60 million, which reportedly came from Saudi Arabia and was turned down by Chelsea. But the interest did not come only from the Middle East within the Premier League itself. There were attempts to lure him away from Stamford Bridge. According to information published by the Mirror, West Ham United presented in August an offer that could reach £45 million. The response from the directors was immediate and categorical. The Brazilian was not for sale. The decision is also explained by the moment of the rest of the squad. Moises Caicedo is facing physical difficulties while on duty with his national team, and Dario Isugo in turn suffered an injury during training with Portugal's under-19 side. This scenario opens the door for Santos to get more minutes on the pitch in the coming rounds. So far, he has been used mainly as a backup piece, but his versatility is extremely valued by coach Enzo Maresca, who sees him as capable of playing in all the roles of the midfield trio in his tactical system. The bet on the young Brazilian is not limited to Chelsea. His rise has already earned him call-ups to Brazil's senior national team, increasing his international visibility. The presence of Carlo Ancelotti at the helm of the Seleção can be a decisive factor for his evolution, as the Italian coach is globally known for enhancing the talent of young players and giving them the confidence to grow in a competitive environment. Thus, it would be no surprise if by the end of the season, Santos was seriously fighting for a starting spot at Stamford Bridge, establishing himself as one of the central figures in the Blues' sporting project. In the end, Chelsea's refusal to negotiate the player with West Ham United or even with clubs outside England demonstrates the conviction of the board and the coaching staff. The club's project involves keeping its young talents, especially those with the ability to provide immediate impact and promising futures. For André Santos, the message is clear. The club is betting heavily on his potential and believes he can become one of the pillars of one of the strongest midfields in European football. Matheus Fernandez is experiencing a week that will remain etched in his memory forever. In the space of just a few days, the young midfielder has not only been officially unveiled as West Ham's latest record signing, but he has also made an impressive Premier League debut and had the honor of wearing the captain's armband for Portugal's under-21 national team. For a player who has only recently turned 21, such a rapid sequence of milestones has the potential to shape the entire trajectory of his career. His arrival at West Ham was already a major talking point. Signed for more than £40 million, Fernandez immediately entered the history books as the club's third most expensive acquisition, behind only Lucas Paqueta and Sebastian Haller. With that price tag comes enormous responsibility and pressure, yet from the very beginning he showed no sign of intimidation. On his debut against Nottingham Forest, Fernandez made an instant impression. Combining quickly with Lucas Paqueta, he won a foul that shifted the momentum of the game and left no doubt that he had the confidence to take on a central role in midfield. It was a moment that signaled not just potential, but readiness to be a protagonist in one of the toughest leagues in the world. Just days later, his journey took another remarkable turn. Returning to his homeland, he once again pulled on the Portugal under-21 shirt, but this time as captain. In what was his 17th appearance for the national side, he led the team out, started the move that resulted in the opening goal, and played a vital role in a commanding 5-0 victory over Azerbaijan. The Portuguese press were unanimous in their praise, highlighting his physical strength, his ability to drive with the ball through midfield, and his eye for quick, incisive passing that can dismantle defensive lines. But perhaps most significant was the symbolism of the captain's armband. More than just a strip of fabric, it was an acknowledgement that Fernandez is already regarded as the heartbeat of the team. a natural leader whose influence extends beyond technical skill. This extraordinary week underscores two clear truths. Firstly, West Ham were right to place a major bet on a young player who already demonstrates maturity well beyond his age. Secondly, Fernandez is not merely a prospect for the future. He is already a player of real substance in the present. At the London Stadium, both fans and staff view him as someone capable of transforming the midfield, injecting dynamism, power, and creativity into an area that has been searching for leadership since the departure of Declan Rice. To simultaneously captain a national team at under 21 level and make an immediate impact in the Premier League is no small achievement. It requires ambition, talent, and character in equal measure. Fernandez has already proven that he possesses all of these attributes. His immediate chemistry with Lucas Paquetá is another encouraging sign suggesting the emergence of a partnership that could become one of West Ham's most influential. Wearing the armband for Portugal was more than a symbolic gesture. It was a statement that even at 21, Fernandez is respected as a leader. And when that kind of respect arrives so early, it often foreshadows a similar role at club level, where leadership is measured not only through ability on the ball, but also through example and consistency. If his debut in the Premier League represented the first step, then his commanding performance with Portugal served as confirmation. Fernandez has shown that he can carry the weight of a record fee live up to the trust of a passionate fan base, and proudly represent his country while leading a team on the international stage. The future will always carry uncertainty, but the present is already glowing with promise. West Ham may have secured not just one of the most expensive signings in their history, but a player who could go on to define an era at the club. For the supporters who prize resilience, determination, and flair, this beginning offers something much greater than hope. It is the clearest sign yet that a new star is rising in East London. So that's all for today, folks. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to leave a comment, share, and of course subscribe to the channel for more. Take care, and I'll see you next time.